Here and Now, the program featuring the news and interests of the African American community. Here's your host, Sandra Bookman.
Coming up, Dinner with the Youngers, a unique theatrical approach to helping Black women deal with breast cancer. And Crumbs from the Table of Joy, the opening night production of the award-winning Crossroads Theater's 47th season. That's all ahead on Here and Now. You're not alone, sis. That is the message from the nonprofit Carrie's Touch as it focuses on helping Black women not just survive, but thrive after a breast cancer diagnosis. In recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the group is staging an immersive new theatrical event, Dinner with the Youngers, that addresses the unique experiences of Black women. Joining us this afternoon is the co-founder of Carrie's Touch and a breast cancer survivor herself, Reverend Tammy Denise. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I know it's been about 2 decades, nearly 2 decades since you started Carrie's Touch. Why did you start this organization?
I started it because 2 decades ago, I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer, and I could not find the type of support and resources I needed as a Black woman. I was told everything about how I was going to die until I challenged my doctor to ask him to say, stop telling me about death. Start telling me about how I can live. And then I couldn't find the resources. So my late sister and I co-founded Carrie's Touch.
And I believe it's named after your mother.
That is correct. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Why did you think this was a tribute that really served her memory?
Yeah, I always thought my life's work would be centered around domestic violence. Unfortunately, my mother was a sufferer of domestic violence, and ultimately that ended her life. And I thought that would be my work, and until I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I wanted her on this journey with me. And everybody always asked, who's Carrie and why did you name her that? And so October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so I get to talk about 2 very important causes at the same time.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of your focus is really empowering other women and helping them on whatever that journey might be. Talk to me a little bit about your breast cancer journey, because as you said early on, the things that you were hearing were not the things that would help you recover from this, and as we said earlier, thrive. So what did you do when you couldn't immediately get the resources you needed? What did you do with your sister's help?
Yeah. So, what was so peculiar is that I had gainful employment, I had adequate insurance, I had what one would think was all the tools that I needed to be able to navigate a breast cancer diagnosis. And yet and still, I was met with all kinds of opposition and again, the holding back of access to resources. So when I challenged my doctor and said, tell me about how I can live, he then offered me an opportunity to participate in a clinical trial. I asked the question, how are Black women surviving this trial? And he said, I don't know. And I'm like, how do you come into this doctor's office and tell me you don't know how Black women are responding to a treatment protocol that you're offering to me? And so to be honest, I got angry and I said, I'm going to participate in this trial. And if you don't have any information on Black women, you're going to have it on one. And from there, I started to educate myself about the disparity in participation for Black women in clinical trials. And for the past 20 years, I have been on this grind to diversify representation in clinical trials, to arm and educate Black women so that they know how to go into their doctor's offices, to how to build positive, effective patient-physician relationships, because there's a real thing called white coat syndrome. Mm. And when we go into doctor's offices, we are already met with distrust and fear and a whole lot of anxiety that prevents us from getting what we need out of a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, there's a troubling statistic, many of them, but one of them is that while Black women don't have the highest diagnosis rate when it comes to breast cancer, they are 40% more likely to die from breast cancer than other women. I know that has to be one of the things that really motivates you to do the work that you do.
Absolutely. And today my shirt says in the 41% because we talk about the 41% all of the time. And so we are trying to shift that narrative to let's celebrate the 59% of us who are surviving this disease and who are finding ways to thrive instead of always talking about death. And that's, troublesome in our community. We don't get the privilege and the opportunity to have agency and have life and have long life and to live well. So we're changing that narrative. We're saying we're celebrating those of us who survived this disease while also addressing the desperate mortality disparity between Black and white women around this disease.
Talk to us about this, your theatrical event, Dinner with Youngers. How does this help you get the message out to the women who need it most?
Yeah, if I may, I'll just step back a tad bit. So the Youngers are the Younger family from the acclaimed Broadway play A Raisin in the Sun. What a lot of people don't realize is that Lorraine Hansberry actually died from pancreatic cancer at age 34. And when I had the privilege to perform this show 2 years ago, I was literally having these out-of-body experiences while actively on stage. And God was asking me, what would happen if someone in the Younger family actually was diagnosed with breast, some other cancer, or some other chronic illness? How would they navigate it amidst all of the other issues that this family is facing? And so Dinner with the Youngers was born. It's an opportunity for us to use theater as a vehicle to have open dialogue, to promote healing, to address concerns in our community, and to come together as community to work toward healing together.
And you've been performing this around the country, right? And you're now bringing it to the New York area.
That is correct. Yes, we have had the privilege we debuted right here in Sacramento, California, where I am located. We have a bi-coastal cast for New York. We performed in Los Angeles. We've done various workshops throughout other parts of California and in Atlanta as well.
And the dates here, October 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, right?
That is correct.
And the location is Marjorie S. Dean Little Theater, which is at 10 West 64th Street here in Manhattan. What are you hoping that audiences take away from this evening?
In the cultural climate that we're in a word, hope. I hope that audiences take away hope. I hope that audiences take away that Black, brown, and all communities have permission to heal, and that we can address difficult situations head on by having open dialogue. I know when I grew up saying, my father said, we have to have these hard conversations around the dinner table. And that's where the name Dinner with the Youngers comes from. Let's sit down at the table, let's have real conversations, and let's heal together.
And before I let you go, what advice would you give a woman? Because we know this week some women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. And as a 17-year survivor, what would you tell them when they hear those words?
I would tell them to take death off the table. A lot of women say that they fear death when they're diagnosed, and I say we're all going to die of something. So take death off the table, and let's figure out how we can live our best life for as long as we have available to us. Reach out and call us. We'll help you get there.
So one of the great things about this evening is that those who attend will get a chance to ask their own questions, correct? There's a talk back after the performance?
This is a variety show. There are a number of things that happen throughout this show. We have live performances. We will show clips from iconic TV shows. We show different types of family dynamics. We have live polls. We play bingo. We celebrate and acknowledge survivors. So there's a lot of opportunities to have dialogue around concerns that people might be having of their own that might connect to any of these families that we will show. And yes, there will be an opportunity to have a talk back with the cast at the end of the show.
And the proceeds from these performances?
The proceeds from Dinner with the Youngers go to support our Rapid Response Fund. Our Rapid Response Fund is a fund that we get to help women across the nation with basic needs. Sometimes, often, our number one request is housing. Our women are suffering from secure housing, which impacts their continuity of care and sometimes has them to default treatment. So every dollar goes right back into the community. We don't discriminate. We talk a lot about Black and brown women because of the mortality disparity, but we don't care. If you need help and we can help you, we will help you.
I want to send folks to your website, carriestouch.org. You can find out more information about your organization, the important work you do. And you can get tickets for the performances later this month in October in Manhattan. Again, that's carriestouch.org. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and best of luck to you on your journey. And the proceeds are important. That money is going to go toward helping people who need it the most. We'll be right back. Two sisters and their recently widowed father struggled to find their place in the world during the Great Migration in the 1950s. The play Crumbs from the Table of Joy, set in Brooklyn and written by two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Lynn Nottage, opens the Crossroads Theater Company's 47th season in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Here to tell us more is the co-founder of Crossroads Theater, Tony Award-winning artistic director Ricardo Kahn, and director Nataki Garrett.
All right.
Thank you both for being with us.
Thank
I love
you.
it.
We're here.
You're always ready to ready to party.
Absolutely.
47 years. How have you managed to hang on so long? Because I know for a regional theater, it is not that easy.
No, it's not. No. For any theater, it's not that easy, but let alone a Black theater, right? But I think you have to be a touch crazy, because there are norms in the world that make you say you shouldn't be doing. Why are you going to do this? Mm-hmm. Why isn't here? Mm-hmm. Why is the passion? It's being able to look out on the world and say, no, this is not right. Our story, the way you're telling it, is not right. I know because I lived it. And if my mother and my father raised us and they worked so hard for me to get here, then I'm going to do my best. And my best is part of my passion. And 47 years, yeah, it's a long time. But along come people like this.
Well, I'm only 47, so it's not that long, I guess. I'm gonna.
No,
that was a lie too.
But it's because you love it.
And honestly, that's why I hope most of us do what we do, because we love it, and it's a privilege to be able to do what we love. Why is Crumbs from the Table of Joy the perfect show to open this 47th season?
I fell in love with the story that this young girl tells. And yes, they're two sisters, but they're 16 years old, and her younger sister trying to make it through the world. They're just trying to grow up. They're trying to find themselves. And so is their father, who is doing the best that he can to raise his kids, and all the other people who are in the show, they're trying to do the best they can. And I think that these are days when, especially here in America, we need to realize that there are also stories of inspiration, and this is a story of inspiration, and it's a story of joy.
You know, Nataki, you have the task of bringing these characters to life and directing the actors on the stage to do that. When you say 1950s and the Great Migration, there's some people that may go, what? What does that have to do with today? So talk to me about why the story of this family is relevant today and how you were able to bring that to this production.
So I think between 1930 and 1950, there is this sort of huge migration of Black people moving from the South to the North. And a lot of times our story of moving to the north is obscured, as if our being where we are is miraculous, like we just sort of appear in a certain place. And I think what's beautiful about this story is I don't think a lot of people in this country imagine the Black experience as a migratory experience, where people are really trying to move from a place where they were moving away from terror, you know, and moving towards something that that could create a better opportunity for themselves, but really for their future generations. And you know, there are so many of us that don't get to be who we become without that desire to move away from something towards something. And that's really what this story is. You move away from the grief and towards something possible and hopeful and joyful. And that's, you know, Lynn Nottage so richly creates this world in which this family really does venture towards something that is bigger than them, you know, that is bigger than their possibilities as they can imagine as they're moving away from the South. And
the daughter is much of the story, my understanding, is told through
Ernestine,
which, you know, there's so many times we say here, we don't hear from young people often enough, and not in the way that honestly they probably need for us to hear from them. What in your mind is special about the fact that she is the one that's articulating, you know, this journey, her family's journey?
She is the future. She is the hope sown into the possibility of this move. She is, you know, there are inclinations that at some point she will go to college and she will become something, right? And she is the, what all those hopes are about. You know, what does it mean to upheaval your family from a place they've been for generations, for good or for bad, you know, through enslavement, for generations, and then to move them to this concrete place,
Brooklyn,
away from, you know, away from wooden doors, as Lynn so beautifully writes, away from these wooden doors to these concrete streets, and there's something about, like I said, you know, you do that because there's a greater possibility. Yeah, the story is really about that. It's about. And it also, right now, so here we are, we're in this time right now, and so many of us have gained so much from that journey. And so the reason why it's so important to tell it through her eyes is, I am the descendant of that kind of journey, of somebody saying to themselves, we should move to a better place so that our future has something. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, and that's what the story leads us to.
I think we're still on that journey.
We are.
We're all still on this journey, and the world is opening up for us. The other thing I want to say about her, the young woman, is that imagination is amazing for her, and she speaks through music, and she speaks through film and Hollywood and all of these things.
Yeah, her cinematic imagination is just so rich.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, yes.
There's everything is played. The family dynamics, of course, not only the children, the parents, the father, the grief, religion, politics, and identity. It almost seems like what's going on in this particular play is really what Crossroads is all about.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're a jazz people, right? We're music people, and everything that Crossroads has always been about is the coming together of people from different backgrounds, with different gifts, with different things to share, in order for us all to gain something to go forward just a little better than we were when we first walked in the door. So that's a journey in and of itself. At the crossroads, you are at a point where you're going to make a decision where you're going to go from here. And that's where they're at right now too. This particular story.
You know, we are in the middle of this middle of a debate about immigration and immigrants and their place in this country and who we are as a country. And in a way, even though these people were migrating in the country, they were Americans, that really is what this is about, this search for a better life for your family and to become just the desire to become a real part of that community, whatever it is, and have a future, and how important that is, and also how universal that is.
You have to know that what you're moving towards is better than what you're coming from. You know, and so it's interesting because you're right, they are Americans ostensibly, but they're also, you know, in 1950s, second-class citizens.
Yeah.
And so moving towards the north is the possibility of actually becoming real citizens and being able to participate in the American experience and experiment in the way that everybody else is.
And that's what the migrant and immigrant story is about. It's coming to participate, to be part of the building of something, of a dream.
Yes.
Right? So it's just really important in today's world, I think, to give value to that.
To
and
what
not
it
to
means.
say, okay, I'm in, now let's close the doors. That's not what we have been about. That's not what our culture has ever been about. That's the connection to today, is to be able to come out of this play and say, you know what it takes? It takes openness. It takes love to get to joy. And it's got to be love for people there are people in the play who are very different. There's the German culture that comes into the play.
The father is married to a German woman.
That's
correct?
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
He marries her. He marries her
right.
at some point in the play.
And then there's the sister. His
sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law, who is part of the communist movement at that particular time with black people in Harlem,
Which was really based in the labor movements.
Yeah,
really based in the opportunities. Again, you move to a place, you hope that there are better opportunities when you come across the obstacle that there's extraction, it's capitalism. You know, there was this real big pushback within the working class against this extraction of capitalism.
This is played out over
that's what
and
communism
over
is.
and over. Yeah, and we still seem not to be able to handle it.
Yes, it's an experiment, like I said.
right. But it invokes the spirit of Paul Robeson.
Yes.
To that, it invokes the spirit of so many folks. And Langston Hughes, Crumbs from a Table of Joy is taken from his poem, and this is coming from people who truly love us. Nataki and Lynn Nottage and Langston Hughes and everybody else who was a part of the background of these stories are all in it, and people are going to recognize them.
And previews begin on October 24th.
That's right.
And with the show opening on the 29th of
right.
October. All right. And this Crossroads Theater, located at 9 Livingston Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. And the website, you can get tickets at the website, right?
You get everything at the website.
Okay.
Yes,
crossroadstheatercompany.org. It is definitely a production worth seeing. It makes you think about the times we're going through, maybe about what we need to do and think about differently.
And feel good.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good.
All right. Thank you
you.
both. What a pleasure. This is so perfect. No bad news.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. And come back
tell
anytime.
her about Act 3.
Okay. We'll be right back. Okay. Thank you for joining us on Here and Now. If you missed any portion of today's show, you can watch at abc7ny.com/hereandnow or listen to our podcast wherever you subscribe. If you'd like to comment or share your story, email us at hereandnow@wabc.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sandra Bookman. Enjoy the rest of your day.